Moving on from exploit kits, we now go into Android. And as all of us know, Android is the leading emerging technology for mobile phones. And we now have Anant Srivastava to give us a talk on Android Tammer. Anant is working with Infosys Technologies Private Limited as an information security expert. And he's completed his certifications in CEH and RHCE and is one very avid player of a lot of CTF challenges. His main focus is currently on web application security and Android. I request Anant to come on stage and take over.
My talk is basically about Android. Just a quick question, just like the previous session. How many of you are not familiar with Android? Okay. I see a lot of faces. All right. For those who are not familiar with Android, we have 5 different presentations on Android. So keep staying in this room. You'll know a lot more about Android when we are finished with ClubHack. Okay. So basically, what I'm talking about today is, like we see a lot of work. Like today also, we see a lot of presentations on Android. Someone is doing forensics on Android. Someone is doing what we say as a security testing on Android. Someone is trying to create some malware, or someone is trying to analyze a malware. Whatever we do, we have one very simple thing, which is we don't have a tool set right now. So let's just see what I've created, and then we'll have your opinion on it. Today's agenda will cover about Android security, why we need it, what are the tool sets that are available right now, what exactly is Android Tammer, and some demonstrations. Android basically, for those who don't know much about Android, sitting on that side, Android has 40% plus a phone market. N900 used to be a good phone, but now it's obsolete, so now we only have Android as a device. We have around 10% of tablet market. We have various manufacturers pitching in on Android, which is actually an OS by Google. It's sort of Linux based. Yeah. This was somewhere around 1 month back. Google published some stats that this is the current market trend. It's actually moving up. I've been on the conservative side. No, not exactly that. If I would have gone by that trend, I would have written around 80% and 30% or 40%. Yeah. Yeah, that I know, N900. Okay. Why do we need a security review on an Android device? There are some very basic fundas. Right now, if you look at the smartphone market, we have 2 or 3 basic variants. We have Android devices, we have iPhones, we have Blackberries, and certain Symbian phones and Windows mobiles are there. But majority market, if you look at, we have Android and iPhone. People are using Android. It's a reality. They want to integrate it into corporate environment, a reality. How can you be sure that a product which I have not tested could well integrate in a corporate environment? That's where we need a security review. And very basically, every phone, we talk about Android, we talk about iPhones. These are basically an operating system with some softwares running on it. Basically, if you look at the whole PC malicious lifecycle, we had simple Trojans as in TSRs. Then we came up ahead with various versions of viruses, rootkits, and everything. Same scenario is going to get repeated over and over with the mobile market now. We have already seen lots of malware in both iPhone and Android. One of them was demonstrated in Malcon around 2-3 days back. So we need to have some kind of a security review, some kind of checks to be done. Now, basically, when we talk about security professionals' point of view for Android, we are basically looking at trying to do some application platform or protocol level testing, trying to do an analysis of a Android ROM, what malicious content does it hold, looking at malicious applications for a malware analysis, or going towards the black side, customizing a ROM, generating your own malware and distributing it out. We need some kind of a setup. So we'll look at various talks or whatever presentations you follow online. Whatever we have is, you have to download this tool, you have to download an SDK, you have to download an NDK, you have to download a proxy, you have to download a decompiler, and then configure it on your machine and then use it. That's the general trend. That's where I've stepped in. OWASP on one hand is trying to do some standardization on the mobile security standards. My project is, on the other side, building a complete tool chain. So let's say we have a large number of tools which we need to download, configure, and get it running. This is something what I'm creating right now is sort of an alternative for Backtrack. We have Backtrack. Everyone is familiar with Backtrack? Okay, good. So it is sort of Backtrack for Android, where you have all those tools which you need for any kind of Android interaction on a single VM. Okay, so basically right now my VMware application has following basic functionalities. You can do application pen testing, you can do malware analysis, you can have ROM-based modification, you can analyze an existing ROM. You have application or native code development if you want to do native code development or application level development, be it for malware or be it for something else. You have those toolkits available. All right, going into the background of what the VM is all about, it's actually Ubuntu 10.04, which is the last LTS release, long-term support release. All the non-needed, non-essential softwares have been removed. I am not targeting this VM as a standalone OS for a system. It's actually a complementary OS which will run coexistingly with your existing OS. So basically, you'll have everything, whatever you need for a normal desktop operation on your main desktop, and you use this particular VM only for Android operations. Another thing which I've kept in mind is I've mixed minimum repositories. We have a concept of integrating multiple repositories onto Ubuntu same release. So you have certain new softwares, you add a PPA, and you get that software update. Now the basic problem with this PPA approach is the more you try to add PPAs and other stuff, your upgrade starts failing off. So you won't get a proper upgrade. So I've tried to reduce, only two PPAs are added. One is the Firefox PPA, and the other is a menu-based PPA, which I'm using as a menu. And there is one question that might come up from the audience that recently there was another VM which was launched named as Android Reverse Engineering ARE Toolkit by Honeynet. The only difference between that product and my product right now is I've tried to trim down its size, point one. Point two, it covers a lot more scope than just malware or reverse engineering. And point number three, it has some kind of an integration. You have paths or default settings configured right inside the VM. So you don't need to do any kind of setup based configurations. Browser has preloaded bookmarks for various things you'll be needing. We'll be looking at the whole VM during the whole session. I've also configured a personal repository, which is my own repository, which will be used to distribute latest versions of various tools, which I have already included. So let's say you have a decompiler, a latest release comes in, you don't have to go and download that latest compiler and again do all the setups. You just have to click on update my system and it will automatically get updated if I have compiled a package for it. All right. For application pen testing prospect, we require a proxy, which is to trap all the requests. Now, the basic problem with Android, which all people who would have been into application testing would have faced is, you can redirect browser traffic, but application traffic redirection is a tricky part. So that's where TSOC proxy comes into picture. It's a transparent socket proxy. It diverts all your existing network traffic to a socket proxy. then if you are using any kind of a proxy environment, your emulator or your device will not accept it till you have a valid certificate. So right now the emulator which is configured has the root CA certificate added for OWASP ZAP. You can do the same, the details are available online, but I've customized it because I've given OWASP ZAP, so its root certificate is added into the emulator. So you don't need to do that configuration part also. DDMS is again a debugging engine provided by Google. It's again configured and available to you. I'm right now eating my own dog food. I'm giving the presentation through my Android Tammer disk only. I've just tried to do a pun on Android by customizing the Android logo as a dog because we are actually taming the Android. This is the main menu structure. Available on console. Similarly, I'm following a similar tradition as what is followed by Backtrack. So instead of pen test, we have an arsenal folder which contains various tools which you need. Going back to the presentation side. Yeah, just a second. I'll just get back on that and then we'll see it on a detailed manner. Okay, for those who are doing malware analysis, recently there were some GSOC projects which produced the tools like Droidbox or APK Inspector, which are actually single point Android malware analysis tools. They, if you look at Droidbox, it's a one-stop shop. You just select which Android virtual device you want to run, which application you want to install. It will automatically start the emulator, push the APK inside, execute it, do all the tracing, what are the file system changes, what are the parameter changes, or whatever changes that are happening around, what are the logs that are getting generated. All those will be captured and will be presented in a easy readable environment. APK Inspector, on the other hand, is a decompiler sort of a tool. It gives you a direct view of what the APK holds, what are the permission model. It will do a decompilation of the app also using JDGUI or JAD as a decompiler. We have 4 different decompilers available: Dex2Jar, JAD, DED, and JDGUI. It depends upon which one you prefer. Dex2Jar converts your Dex objects files into a jar file, which can easily be used by all the other 3 to decompile out your class files. Smali and Bugsmali are an alternative approach. They have a different format than Java. And we have Android Guard, which is again an Android APK Inspector kind of a tool. So those tools are directly available for malware analysis. For ROM analysis and modification, this is one of the interesting aspects. How many of you actually look around on the various Android-related discussion forums? Anyone ever heard about XDA developers? Okay. And Modoko or similar kind of a development forum? If you look at those development forums, there are large number of threads, discussion threads, downloads available. There are large number of what we say cookers, ROM cookers or ROM makers. They create customized version of your ROMs. What they basically do is, let's say you have a Sony Ericsson handset. You don't like its default UI. You like the UI of HTC. Now you don't want to buy an HTC device. You'll download a customized version of Sony Ericsson ROM which has a UI of HTC. You download it, you run it on your machine. Well and fine, everything working cool, everything going smooth. We recently heard about Carrier IQ. Anyone not aware about Carrier IQ? Okay, Carrier IQ is a company which gives you analytic capacities. It's recently discovered that a large number of service providers in the US have been using Carrier IQ which not only tracked your basic information like how many calls you're making, it also keep tracking your keystrokes and whatever data traffic is going on. So all that was getting transferred to some remote server. They're claiming that it was anonymous, but who knows. So there is not slight, there is a large amount of chance that the ROM that you are installing might not be as secure as it claims to be. So being a security professional, you can go inside, look into the ROM content, analyze it, see what's wrong with it or what could be wrong with it, and then deduce that you want to use it or you don't want to use it. The other side, or the black side, you want to distribute a customized ROM which contains all kind of good features, which gives you ability to do surfing without paying any charge or something similar. And in return, all you are asking is that you have installed a keyboard application which silently sniffs all your keystrokes back to your own server. So that kind of environment, if you look at, you can do all those with these tools. We have a DSI XDA Android Kitchen. It's basically a singular application which allows you to customize all the aspects of a ROM. We have UnyAFFS2, YAFFS, yet another file system, format version 2, is the standard format that is used on most of the Android devices. If you look at the recovery softwares or the softwares which are used to take backup of Android devices, they use these formats. So if you want to analyze a ROM or if you want to analyze a backup of a system, you can use these tools to see what is there inside. Split boot image. It's a very simple Perl script. It allows you to analyze the kernel. Android has a very simple format. Like it has a Linux kernel inside. Similar to how a Linux machine boots up, it has a kernel, it loads. Then you have initial RAM disk, which is init RD. It loads in, installs all the basic system, set up all the basic system. Then your main system gets mounted, and then your system starts. Following a similar approach, what Android has done is they've given you boot.img, a single file. That single file contains your kernel as well as your initial RAM disk. So this split boot image allows you to bifurcate the two. So you have a different kernel and you have a different RAM disk. Now if you want, you can change the RAM disk content, again compile it, you again get a boot.img file. For ROM analysis, you can also check the development tools or malware analysis tools which are available. For development, we have Eclipse available. When I'm talking about development, I'm talking about all kind of development. The usage depends upon who is using it and how he is using it. We have NDK available, which is again a faster media to create applications. Not exactly applications, but having a faster interaction. We have Code Source 3 G++ Lite, which is actually ARM compiler, which allows you to compile your existing applications in an ARM port. We have ARM DS5 CE, which is actually a recent release, around 2 or 3 days back. ARM Group has launched Design Studio version 5 with a community edition. This is basically an NDK compiler and a complete design studio where you can design NDK related applications. Now, NDK, I have a very sort of what we call as a hunch. Right now, if you look at the malware landscape of the whole Android market, we find large number of malwares. All can be easily detected if you pay small attentions. Example, look at the permission model. Decompile the source code, you'll find various instances where calls are there. So those are basically checkpoints which we can apply. Now, moving ahead, just like we had in the PC market, there were batch files which acted as virus, then they went to COM files, then they went to executables, and now we have obfuscated executables. Similarly, I can, like as a hunch, I can foresee that there will be a malware landscape where the malware code resides inside an NDK binary, which is a C binary doing all the tasks in the background with just one Java call, calling in that particular function. That's it. That's a kind of an idea I have. I have one friend of mine, Ankur.